Heartbreaking does not even begin to cover all that has happened this past week. And while this isn't really a political channel, the truth is very clear that political activism has wedged itself so deeply into our entertainment and gaming spaces that there is basically zero way to avoid it, especially when some of the very people making these games are using their platforms to cheer for things that are downright sickening. Some of the responses I have seen from professionals in this industry, and let's be very real, across many industries, to the devastating assassination of Charlie Kirk have been absolutely depraved. People celebrating and mocking his death, people openly advocating for political violence, and I will be very honest with you, it has made me very angry and has been incredibly disturbing, but it has also made me very sad. Because this goes so much deeper than a few people or a single studio. It shows a very real rot that has crept into Western gaming over the years. Something cultural and something that has been festering for a long time. And that's the thing about rot. It creeps in very quietly and slowly. One spoiled apple softens from within. Before you know it, everything around it is infected too. So with all of that said, the studios and the individuals that have been participating in this type of behavior, the ones that have been brazenly and comfortably using their platforms to celebrate the murder of someone that they disagreed with, truly are poisoning their companies from the inside out. They are putting coworkers at risk, they are creating hostile environments, and just like rot, if they are allowed to stay and fester, they will continue to spread dysfunction and decay everywhere that they go. Out of abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And what we have been hearing lately is very revealing about what has been festering in some of these people and studios for a long time. I have been coming across threads on Twitter/X that have been exposing post after post from gaming industry professionals openly celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And for days, I kept thinking, oh my gosh, like there is no way that this can continue to get worse. But somehow it has. By now, I'm sure many of you have heard about the situation with Sucker Punch and Ghost of Yotei. In case you hadn't, Drew Harrison, a former senior developer at the studio, published a post on Blue Sky that has seemed to kick all of this off. Drew received a ton of backlash and was eventually fired by Sony, who, by the way, declined to make any type of public comment about it. And then after being fired, Drew decided to double down by saying, if standing up against fascism is what cost me my dream job I held for 10 years, I would do it again 100 times stronger. Okay, buddy. Now, I've seen people say, oh, well, this was just one person. Sony even fired them. But the problem is that this person felt bold enough to post these comments with the studio's name in their bio. Other employees at Sucker Punch supported it, and the studio itself has been totally silent. No condemning of the posts, nothing. Which is crazy considering that they are about to launch a game in a few weeks. To me, that proves one of two things. Either they're all cowards, or they agree with Drew. And honestly, it is probably a little bit of both. And look, I already had fundamental issues with Ghost of Yotei for reasons that I've shared before, and I still seem to get pushback every single time. But I already wasn't going to be buying this game. Now, since this has happened, it makes me want to tell everyone I know not to buy this game either. So do not buy this game. The new Ghost of Yotei trailer just dropped across all of PlayStation's main accounts, and if you're wondering why you did not see it on X, that is because they did not post it there, at least not on their main account. Why? Because they knew that it was going to get absolutely torched in the replies. Remember what I said just a second ago about them being cowards? Yeah, well, this strategy actually did not save them because even on PlayStation's main YouTube account, there is over 6,000 comments, the majority of which are talking about Charlie Kirk. And even on the like to dislike ratio, they are sitting at 18,000 dislikes. And yes, I did do my part. Honestly, bump this game and bump this studio. But this situation with Sucker Punch was just the beginning of what we were about to see. Now, it would be pretty impossible to read through every single post that has surfaced over the last week, but I just wanted to give you a glimpse of what is actually being said and kind of what we're dealing with. And while there have been many posts from individuals across the industry celebrating, mocking the assassination, there have also been people who have been publicly advocating for further violence. Take Donnie Torrey, who is a senior QA analyst at Psyonix Studios, or Kate, who is a localizer for Square Enix. Again, keep in mind, these are people using their legal names. Donnie here used his full legal name and had his studio tagged in the bio. There really are no words. And then there's Blizzard, and I don't really even have to dig to find anything because half of their employees just self-reported. One of their writers even went as far to post an entire article. And here's the worst part about all of this. None of these people were afraid. They did not hesitate to do this because somewhere along the line, these people were taught that this type of behavior is totally okay. There's been zero HR, no accountability, and no consequences. But somehow in the midst of Microsoft messes, Bethesda might have taken the crown. This was not a fan account. This was not even an employee's account. This was a studio-backed marketing post, making light of someone's death. Oh, and Epic Games? Not just random employees here, although there have been plenty of them, but the trust and safety lead joined in. Let me just say that again. The person in charge of keeping people safe on the platform was out here co-signing violent rhetoric. And then we get to the CEO, Tim Sweeney. Yes, the head of the entire company got on Twitter to defend what was happening. We are truly living through an epidemic of tone-deaf and brain-dead comments from CEOs. This is not about government censorship. It is about your employees and everybody else on the internet publicly cheering and celebrating someone's death and creating a hostile environment for anyone who disagrees. You are the CEO. You are not some random edgy Discord mod. Your job is to lead. Your job is not to defend chaos behind some half-baked interpretation of the First Amendment. I also wanted to quickly point out that someone created a Steam curator list called Charlie Tweets Detected, which is over 16,000 followers at this point, and basically just gives a bunch of transparency into which studios and developers have said what regarding Charlie's assassination and political violence in general. As you can see, this isn't just a one-off incident. It isn't just one employee at Sucker Punch. This unhinged behavior is completely rampant across the Western gaming industry. Some of it even coming from higher-ups and CEOs themselves. There are entire threads, long lists of employees being compiled and shared right now, and Microsoft in particular seems to be a major hotspot. It honestly has been kind of encouraging to see so many people put their foot down, both inside and outside the industry. Refuse to let this radical behavior slide. People are calling it out. They are holding these individuals and companies accountable. There's even a creator who goes by Legal Mindset that has been sharing lots of resources and steps employees can take if they are worried about their safety in the workplace, especially if HR seems compromised. Looking at you, Microsoft. And listen, it is exhausting to go through all of these. Every time I come across a new one on my feed, I feel this mix of anger and sadness. Anger at just the brazenness of these people and sadness for what it says about the industry that I love. But all of this just circles back to the same issue, the rot that has taken hold in this industry. And it leaves every normal person asking the same haunting question: how did we get here? How did things decay so far that even the need to say out loud that people using their platforms to celebrate someone's death is wrong? And somehow that is the controversial take. And this is where I think we really start to see the root of the problem. I was reading an article last month that featured Gamescom organizer Felix Folk, and he was asked his thoughts about politics in gaming. He said he doesn't just like politics in games, he is excited to see them get even more political because he believes that the industry inherently has a responsibility to be political, since it is at the forefront of pop culture. Now, I think a lot of us already knew this was happening, but it is definitely wild to hear leaders in the industry just say it so openly. And when politics becomes so baked into your job, something that is inherently divisive to begin with, you really start to see the fallout. Storytelling takes a backseat to messaging, characters stop feeling organic and become mouthpieces, talent and creativity matter less than whether you say the right things. And this is nothing new. We have been seeing this sprout up in Western games for years now, especially within AAA. That kind of culture doesn't create great games. It creates echo chambers. It creates propaganda disguised as games. It creates employees who feel emboldened to publicly celebrate violence because they believe there will be no consequences. This industry is massively hurting from the huge budget flops and outright awful games, wave after wave of layoffs to studios closing their doors. AAA gaming is unstable enough already on its own. And when you add this type of moral rot on top of that, when you add environments that have been poisoned by extreme individuals, all it does is accelerate the existing dysfunction. And this is where accountability matters. We do not need everyone in this industry to agree politically. That has never been realistic, and it has never been the goal. What we do need is something far more basic: human decency. They do not have to agree on every social issue. They don't even have to mourn anyone's death. But they do have to act with professionalism. They do have to treat coworkers with respect, and they absolutely must recognize the responsibility that they carry when they are shaping and creating worlds that millions of players will step into. For us as players, when we keep buying from studios that, if we're being honest, many have already made it clear that they don't really like us. But if we keep buying from these types of studios that enable this type of fraud, we are saying, this is totally fine. Please keep going and behaving this way. When we do actually withdraw our support, when we call out destructive and harmful behavior, when we choose to uplift creators with integrity and actual morality instead, we are saying, no, we expect better. If gaming truly is one of the most influential art forms in the world, like Felix Falk said, then its creators carry a massive responsibility. Some of them do actually understand this. Game devs like those behind Lords of the Fallen and Kingdom Come Deliverance have openly condemned the celebration of violence and death. I'll even praise DC Comics. When one of their writers was caught promoting more violent rhetoric, they didn't issue a vague apology. They fired her. They canceled her entire Red Hood project, which apparently already sucked, to no one's surprise, then refunded readers who had purchased it already, then made a public statement condemning the behavior. Great job, DC. For the rest of the individuals in the gaming industry, let DC be your example. The state of our country is very sad, and this week has been extremely difficult, but we can continue to call out corruption without becoming corrupted. We can demand better without letting bitterness take root, and we can hold these people and companies accountable without sinking to their level. To close us out, since we have already been super vulnerable today, I just want to leave you with a couple of verses that have been on my heart lately. John 8:12. Again, Jesus spoke to them saying, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. And John 1:5. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Thank you again for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.